Sir.
Basically, the English, after they conquer they stay behind the Pale. And as far as those, to go beyond the Pale, you were talking about fordings of rivers. I know like Athlone's is the first spot you can ford the Shannon River. And and especially you talk about Fermanagh up towards the O'Neill country, that's nothing but water. So they were always at disadvantage, even into the 1920s when the Irish took down the road signs. They'd get lost.
And they blew up the bridges.
If you've been in rural Ireland,
yeah.
You don't know where you are.
Oh, well, everybody knows that you never pay attention to the road signs even if they're posted.
Yeah. Well, during the various wars with the English and during the brief Civil War, yes, bridges and passes, they knew exactly where they were and they just blew them up. So the bridge at Athlone, of course, became crucial.
Well, that was the first part you could ford with a horse.
Yes.
Before the bridge of Athlone.
Yes, it was. It was a very powerful, a very important spot. And of course was always a point to fight over, because there really is nowhere to ford up and down. You almost have to go all the way down to Limerick to find a place that you can ford. You can swim it, but not really ford it. There was points of crossing like Clonmacnoise, where there was a lot of boats there, and there was a monastery there and so on. But to ford it is, of course, the first choice of a general. He wants to just rush across. So aha, which means in Irish ford, is a very common part of place names. Béalaha, this, and so Ballina, Béalaha, Anaha, Béal and Aha, so that's a very Aha Lewin, and that was named after Lewin, a person who, that was his ford. Tremendously important. And the people who lived between this ford down, all they had to do was protect one or two key points, and that was it. They controlled their area.
Back to your comment about Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
As of tomorrow, then, will Northern Ireland be ruled from Westminster? Will they have no self-determination?
Well, read the paper tomorrow. But an event is taking place tomorrow where the Irish nationalists are accepting and participating in British rule, devolved British rule. Never happened before. This is the first time, ever. Probably even since it's more significant in many ways than Con's acceptance of the Earl of Tyrone, because he was not really serious about it. So, well, perhaps, but again, you see, even if you go back to the Act of Union in 1800, that was the landlord's parliament. It wasn't Irish people that were doing it. So there's never been a voluntary acceptance of British rule in Ireland until tomorrow. In all of the thousands of years of our history. Well, Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Why are you calling it British rule?
Well, it's part of the United Kingdom. It's ruled. That is United Kingdom rule. It certainly isn't Irish rule. It's the British system. Pardon? Are voluntarily participating in it, yes, on Irish soil. Prior to that, the only ones who ever did it were Unionists and English, landlords, various other types of things, not Irish people. So anyway, but it is significant, and it's kind of sad to me because...
Is this part of the deal where both British and Irish government offered substantial amounts of money if they would come together?
I'm sure it's a lot more complicated than any one thing. It's not money. It's not a lot. It's a lot of things. It's essentially the implementation of the Good Friday Agreement, where they decided that they had enough of fighting and they were going to accept this. But pardon?
Michael Collins is rolling in his grave.
Yeah, because he didn't accept British rule. He didn't have to share. It was not. He didn't have to. He didn't have to share rule, or he didn't have to the Free State was quite different. It was not a devolved government as such. Like one of the things, for instance, that it clearly doesn't have, it doesn't have power over the judicial system nor the police system. The police system is, the police chief is appointed from London. Anyway, I don't want to go into that because it's political, and we're not supposed to talk politics. What?
Is that why the Queen's going home tomorrow?
So what were the, I missed the first time, what were the significant achievements of the O'Neills?
Of who?
Like the O'Neills.
Well, I of course have my biases, if you like. I of course have great admiration for Shane O'Neill, because he never conceded, not even in his deepest heart or mind, for one instant, the right of anybody, not just the English, of the French, of the Pope, of the Spanish, of anybody, to rule 1 inch of the island of Ireland other than Irish people. You know, that has my admiration. Anybody can work deals and justify them and wheel and deal and so on, but that kind of fundamental principle has a lot. It means a lot. Means a lot to me.
To get back to your question about how battles were fought, they didn't have standing armies then. The people were brought together for a battle and then went back to their farms.
Well, not even England had standing
Cromwell
armies.
would have brought in standing armies.
No, standing armies came much later. Well, actually, you could say that, yes, in a way. But again, the way you see, the Queen, the Crown of England, financed her own army. It was not financed by Parliament. And that's why they were very land hungry and needed revenues and so on. And that's why, of course, they took Ireland, because they then had the revenues from it. But they had to finance out of their own pockets and their own estates their army. Right.
By Hugh O'Neill's time, the Gallagher was a thing in the past, right?
Well,
You couldn't just bring people in.
you did, yeah.
Before.
That survived down through the 1600s, actually. The Gallagher were still, the Scots were still essentially mercenaries.
They went by a different name. I don't know what the name was. Starts with a D.
I don't know they were.
They weren't the same, like, crazed fighters that they were during Shane's time, during the mid-1500s. What I read.
Well, I'm not sure they were crazed fighters. They were professional fighters. Putting on the crazed look and all that stuff is part of it. Just like the Maoris do the war dance and, and all the rest. That's part of the tactic. But
The Gallagher means scoffer of death, right?
no, it doesn't at all. No, it's an Irish expression. Ogli means soldier or youth. Actually, it's a youth, because youth and soldiers are essentially the same thing. So Ogli, and today Ogli na hÉireann is the IRA, the official name is Ogli na hÉireann. If you were at an IRA training camp, the attention would be Ogli na hÉireann, ara! would be, soldiers of Ireland, attention! So they call themselves Ogli na hÉireann. Now, Ogli is soldier. It actually comes from, as I said, a youth, Og, Gal means foreign. Like Dún na Gal is the fort of the foreigner. So Gal Ogli means foreign soldiers.
So it wasn't specifically Scottish, Scandinavian.
No, it didn't apply just to Scottish, but for all practical purposes, from an Irish point of view, if you were a Gal Ogli, you were from Scotland. You weren't from Germany you weren't a Hessian.
Well, descendants of Viking.
Actually, no, they're more likely to have been descendants of the Dalriada, which actually were O'Neills, who had gone across to Scotland after Columba. The Dalriada weren't that old, so there was two kingdoms, and it wasn't until the 800s, that the Picts and the Dalriada united as one kingdom, because the Picts of Scotland had maternal line of of inheritance, and the Irish had of male, and Hugh McAlpine was the first to be on both sides. His mother, he inherited the crown on both sides.